I just did it to try to find out what it's like to only eat meat.
Right.
When you have no carbohydrates, one of the things that's most amazing is that there's no crashing. You would eat and you don't feel any different after you ate other than the fact that you don't feel hungry.
Right.
Like you don't crash.
Right.
There's no ups and downs and peaks and valleys. My energy levels were amazing.
The carnivore diet. Is it as amazing as everyone makes it sound? Or is it just another fad that's going to be soon forgotten and leave people far more unhealthy than before? Kayla Peterson, who is the daughter of the best-selling author Jordan Peterson, had struggled with severe autoimmune issues and depression since childhood. However, since turning to a carnivore diet, and more specifically the Lion diet, which consists only of meat from ruminant animals, her health has dramatically improved.
And I started delving around in diet. So like long story short, I ended up only eating meat, which I think is also kind of what helped people start following me, because they're like, what's this weird all beef woman
How long
up
did
to?
you do that for?
I'm still on it, so.
And you literally only
6 years.
You only eat meat still?
Yep.
Next we have Dr. Sean Baker, who is an orthopedic surgeon and a prominent supporter of the carnivore diet.
More likely to smoke, they're more likely to drink, they're more likely not to wear their seatbelt, they're more likely to be in accidents, they're more likely not to go to their doctor, they're more likely just not to care. So you've got, that's what a meat eater
Why is that?
Well, it's just because if I tell you, as I say, Joe, eating meat's bad for you, and you say, F you, I don't care about my health. Right? So you just don't care. So this is it. So they can't separate that out.
He's been on this diet for over 7 years, but it's not just him that's seen dramatic improvements in life quality from this diet. Thousands of others through his online clinic, where people seem to be healing chronic illnesses every day that most doctors would say are just genetic. Now, I know what you're thinking. These are just some anecdotes and actually seem to prove the point that this diet is a fad and was just made popular by some influencers. After all, maybe it's just a placebo because there's no way we're meant to eat that much meat, right? Well, maybe. The carnivore diet consists of exclusively animal products. This consists of foods such as beef, pork, chicken, eggs, lamb, bison, or anything that can be eaten directly from an animal, and excludes anything that comes from a plant such as coffee, fruit, honey, vegetables, and nuts and seeds. Personally, I mostly just eat beef, egg yolks, and sometimes salmon. The basic idea is to provide your body with all of the nutrients that it needs from meat while eliminating all processed foods as well as any other anti-nutrients and other potentially harmful toxins that can be found in plants, as this is their defense mechanism to prevent animals from eating them. To most people, picturing only eating meat seems impossible and potentially very unhealthy. The mainstream narrative tells us that red meat and saturated fat cause cancer and heart disease, as we've always been told to eat our fruits and vegetables. If this is the case, then why are so many people turning to this way of eating? Well, mostly because nothing else seems to work. Modern day diseases are skyrocketing and people are looking for solutions. There are many factors at play here, but one major one is that we seem to be rapidly moving away from what humans have evolved to eat. With fast food around every corner and vegan propaganda spreading rapidly, there's no wonder so many people are suffering. Many people I see turn to the carnivore diet are either struggling with obesity, autoimmune conditions, or other chronic health conditions. Most of them have tried almost everything else, including the meds their doctors gave them, working out, or other diets like vegan or traditional keto. And the crazy thing is, when people switch to this way of eating, it seems to work almost every single time. And it's not just people with health issues. Some are looking to perform at an elite level in their sport, while others are just looking for a way that they can feel their best all of the time. As for myself, I enjoy the simplicity of being able to eat only a few ingredients every day, while providing my body with all of the nutrients that it needs in the most bioavailable form possible. Meaning that my body can actually utilize all of the nutrients that are being provided by the meat. To many people, this diet seems crazy. And this is mostly because of what we've been conditioned and taught throughout our lifetimes. But just because we've been eating this way for maybe the past 30 years, 100 years, or even thousands of years, doesn't mean we've been eating this way for most of our evolution. After all, we've been in our current speciation for roughly 300,000 years. So what exactly is a fad? Well, according to the Oxford Dictionary, it's an intense and widely shared enthusiasm, especially one that is short-lived and without a basis in the object's qualities. Now, there is definitely a lot of enthusiasm for this diet as it seems to just work so well. So what is the basis for the carnivore diet? Well, pretty much the entirety of our evolution as Homo sapiens sapiens. Like I mentioned before, we have been in our current speciation for about the last 300,000 years, meaning that the physiology of a human then would be very similar to a modern day human. Not only this, we have been in very similar forms for around the past 4.5 million years. And the great thing is, we can tell exactly what we ate hundreds of thousands of years ago with stable isotope testing. We can do this by testing the carbon and nitrogen levels in dug up remains. By analyzing the ratios, scientists can determine their diet. This is very reliable and widely accepted as the isotope composition in the bones directly reflects what the individual consumed over their lifetime. Therefore, this provides concrete evidence of early human diets. The article titled "Stable Isotopes Reveal Patterns of Diet and Mobility in the Last Neanderthals and First Modern Humans in Europe" reveals that humans without a doubt have been consuming meat from large ruminant animals for the majority of our evolutionary history, with a bare minimum of any group obtaining at least 80% of their calories from meat, while many were closer to the 100% mark. According to this data, we were eating even more meat than almost all of the other carnivores, including wolves. Keep in mind that a hypercarnivore is defined as consuming 70% or more of calories from meat. So, by definition, we were hypercarnivores. And even if there was a small amount of plant matter in some of their diets, this was likely during times of starvation where fibrous tubers were eaten as a survival advantage. This is in stark contrast to today where most of our energy intake comes from high-carb plants or highly processed food. We really didn't have any significant amount of plant matter in our diet until the agricultural revolution about 10,000 years ago. This is a blink of an eye in terms of our evolution. And this is precisely when our brains started to shrink in size and modern day diseases began to arise, most likely due to malnourishment. Now, this isn't very surprising as meat is far more nutrient dense and bioavailable when compared to plants. Meat contains all of the nutrients that are essential to human life. While plants do contain most, but not all of these nutrients, they're often not bioavailable, meaning that there are anti-nutrients that prevent our bodies from accessing these vitamins and minerals. Plants produce these chemicals to deter animals from eating them. After all, if certain plants provided a ton of nutrition with very little to no anti-nutrients, they would have gone extinct very quickly as they would all be eaten and would not be able to spread their seed. Things take an even bigger dive when we look at our most recent dietary habits. The introduction of highly processed food has made modern day diseases skyrocket. So while certain influential people have made it more popular to eat in a way consistent with the majority of our existence on Earth, it doesn't mean that it is a fad. In fact, this way of eating seems to be the polar opposite of a fad, all things considered. So to me, it seems like eating flaming hot Cheetos and loads of carbs from pasta and bread is far more likely to be a fad than anything else in terms of our evolution. This diet goes beyond just following trendy influencers or temporary trends. It's about understanding our biological foundation and considering how modern diets are far different from our ancestors' nutrient-dense, meat-based diets.